Okay, welcome to Wednesday Mindful Pilates. And I think I've got it. I just need my gallery view. There we go. All right, good to see you. Some of you haven't seen in a while. Evan's been off traveling around the world, learning to do trapeze yoga, acrobatic yoga.
I thought you were in Alaska.
Me? No, I leave on Friday.
Oh, I didn't send you your check because I was wondering if I should later. So I'll send you a check today.
Yeah, I leave Friday afternoon and I'll be up there till the following weekend.
Oh, okay.
And I am
Nice.
I'm teaching another workshop up there on the lymph and endocrine system. And I'm happy to say it's full with a wait list.
All
Woohoo!
right.
Yeah,
And
that's
an in
good. Pardon me?
you're teaching an in-person class?
I am teaching, yes, an in-person class
All right.
at one
Right.
of the yoga studios up there. I
Oh,
taught yoga up there for a long time. Um, but they don't have as much access to things like yoga for different therapeutic purposes. So I think people are excited to learn a little bit about that. And speaking of that, if any of you want to come to the yoga for the lymph system this afternoon, it's at 1 p.m. Some of you already signed up. Um, I'm excited about it. It'll definitely be a little deeper dive than what we did in class previously, a little more focus on understanding the lymph system and how it works, and then why the movements we're choosing help to move the lymph. And so you'll just have a better awareness to take into your yoga practices. So if you, for some reason, have been really still for a while, you'll know ways to get yourself moving again. And you'll remember that even just moving small parts of your body help those rivers of lymph pump and move. And I think it's interesting. I don't know if any of you know this, but amphibians have a lymph heart. In fact, some of them have many lymph hearts that actually pump the lymph through their systems, but we don't. It's our movement that pumps our lymph. So, anyway, it's intriguing.
oh, very.
Uh-huh. Okay, let's start with the breath again today. So, find a comfortable seat. I really am glad I have a class of people that are willing to focus on the breath at the beginning of a Pilates class. Because it is that three-dimensional breath awareness that's going to make it more possible for you to strengthen around the whole circumference of your spine. So come to a comfortable seat. And please make sure it is a comfortable seat where you have your natural lumbar curve. And if sitting is uncomfortable for any of you, then feel free to come to standing, okay? Sitting or standing. And then tune in to your breath. Invite the breath deep down into your belly. If for any reason you've been trained to hug your belly in, let that go right now. Let your belly fill with breath. Visualize your pelvic bowl filling with breath. And invite the breath into your waistline, your lower side bodies. Imagine those lower side bodies expanding away from each other. Welcome, Katie. I got your message. And breathe into the low back. Really try to keep the breath low in the abdomen below the lowest ribs. Now we know the actual breath doesn't move down here, but you're inviting your diaphragm to descend into the abdomen. See if you can feel the back of the diaphragm stretch towards the kidneys. And visualize this muscle as it descends, massaging your liver, massaging your stomach, massaging the intestines through them. And everything in the lower abdomen getting a little bit of that kind of watery movement that your breath invites. You're creating an internal ocean wave that moves the waters of your body. We do have lots of lymph nodes in this lower abdomen. And we want the lymph to move through the lymph nodes so that it gets cleansed. So what I would like to see people do is come to a Pilates class or a yoga class without the one-dimensional idea of I'm getting cardiovascular exercise or I'm stretching my muscular skeletal system, but with this idea that I am creating whole body health. My breath moving deep into my abdomen, washing through the abdomen with ripples of energy, moves the waters of my body to bring me greater vitality. Now feel into that lowest circle of ribs and invite it to expand three-dimensionally. And relax on your exhales. Still visualize the drum skin of the diaphragm ballooning down into the abdomen, massaging your liver and your stomach. Your liver is held suspended by some fascia above it. It's also sitting on top of the balloon that surrounds your abdominal cavity. It's, in most adults, it's like 14 pounds. It's heavy. I think that's right. I've been working with my Rolfer, and he was freeing up my liver. It was kind of being pulled down, which was pulling my rib cage down and in. So we breathe to free up the fascia around our organs. Imagine your liver floating on your breath. Now feel from the lung side as your diaphragm descends and the lung tissue gets pulled open. Feel the lung tissue in the back body and getting expanded as the diaphragm descends into your abdomen. Invite your back ribs to open behind you, expanding the lung tissue further. And try not to strain for your inhale. You don't have to overfill. Just feel for the pulsation, the opening and expansion of the inhale, rolling into an easy, relaxing exhale. Think of the oxygen coming deep into your lungs and the carbon dioxide being expelled out of your lungs, and the balance you're creating in your body with your breath. We want a balance of our blood chemistry. So we inhale into the full circumference of our chest. Feel for the side ribs opening into the underside of your arms. And now notice your mind. My hope is that it is relaxed with the breathing practice and your concentration on the breath. Let's take this concentration into the rest of our practice today. Let's come to standing. And let's actually begin with a ball, if you have one. If you don't have a ball, just bring your back right against the wall. A ball against the wall, right up between your shoulder blades. Come into your Tadasana, your straight standing. So you're just barely leaning against the ball. Now breathe into the ball at your back. Invite the breath into the ball. Keeping your natural lumbar curve, root your tailbone like the third leg of a stool beneath you. Breathe into the ball, breathe into the back body. And on your next exhale, blow out through a straw, pursed lips, and draw energy up the front of your spine. Then soften the body and inhale into the ball at your back. And exhale, draw energy up the front of the spine. Maybe your glutes activate a little, but you do not flatten your lumbar curve. And then soften and inhale into the ball. And exhale through your pursed lips, draw energy up the length of the front of the spine, root your tailbone. Lengthen the spine on your inhale. Lengthen the spine even more on the exhale, rooting your feet, lift the heart center. Inhale, soften and expand. Exhale, lengthen the spine, broaden across your shoulder girdles, lift the heart. Inhale into the low back ribs now. Exhale, root your tailbone, lengthen the front of your spine, lift your heart. Find your shoulder blades on your back body. And on your next exhale, lift your arms, palms up, thumbs back slightly. We're rooting the tailbone. Inhale and lift the low back rib ring. Lift the heart center. Broaden across your hands, opening the heart just slightly skyward. It's a very slight back bend with your low ribs still resting back and lifting away from the pelvis. Your head can lean gently back. Your front neck flexors turn on. Root your feet as you fill three-dimensionally. Exhale up the front of the spine. Inhale and fill three-dimensionally. Exhale up the front of the spine and release. Release the ball and bring your back body now against the wall. Your palms facing each other across your torso as your elbows bend at a 90 degree. And then press your humerus bone back into the wall from elbow to head of the arm bone. Let your head rest where it's comfortable. Pressing the arms back, still root the tailbone. Try to maintain your natural lumbar curve. This might mean drawing your low ribs back a little towards the wall, but do not flatten the curve. Can you breathe your rib cage wide even as you set the arm bones back? This should be work in the upper back. Feel your triceps pressing into the wall behind you. Root through your heels, root your tailbone. This may mean you have to turn on the front abdominal core not to flare your rib cage. Press the head of the arm bones back. Now this press isn't like 110%. Check in with your knees, they're not hyperextending. Root the feet. And then release from the wall and pause in your mountain pose. and feel into your posture. Let the breath lift and release the shoulder girdle. And then turn to your side, arms at a 90 degree at the elbow. Stand in your robot arms again and press one arm against the wall. Notice how the opposite foot grounds. Really press the arm at maybe 70% of effort. Feel how the opposite leg engages. And feel for the connection from your shoulder blade of the pressing arm to your outside foot, buttock, and heel. Now, can you take a little pressure off the arm and ground the inside foot? Activate the outer side shoulder blade and try to keep that cross engaged and aware as well, and add more pressure from the arm into the wall. Fluid breath, broad across your shoulder girdle, broad across your pelvis, grounding into both feet. Can you breathe into your back body? Breathe into your front body and release. Turn to press the other shoulder into the wall. Ground both feet, heels below your sit bones. You're standing in a kind of robot arm Tadasana. Your hyoid bone is resting back, your head is resting back. Press the arm against the wall and feel how the outer leg activates. Connect your awareness from the shoulder against the wall to the buttock away from the wall. And connect down into that heel. Lift the toes of that foot, lift the arches, release the toes. Press the other foot into the floor. Broaden across your shoulder girdle. You may even press the outside arm wide like you're pressing into a wall. Check in that you're not working so hard you're hyperextending your knees. Really wake up the arm. Fluid breath. Three-dimensional breath. And release. Come back to your mat. Inhale. Draw your arms towards the sky. And exhale down the center channel of your body. Inhale. Imagine drawing energy in through the roots of your feet all the way up. And then as you exhale, it pours out the crown chakra. One more time. Inhale energy up through the body. And exhale it out the top of the head. Good. Now reach for your hand weights. With that awareness of the back body we've developed, inhale, bend your arms into the same robot position. And lift your wings out to the side. And exhale back down. So this is a new movement. We keep our elbows at a right angle. We're just lifting at the shoulder and releasing back down. We inhale and exhale. And inhale and exhale. One more. Inhale and exhale. Or release your arms long and float your arms up to a T. Can you lift from the underside of the arms and rest the neck and shoulder? Inhale into the whole circumference of the body. Exhale, lengthen the spine. Inhale. Exhale, root your feet, lengthen the spine. Inhale, fill. Exhale, release the hands by your sides. Inhale, lift to one toe, arms out to the side. Exhale, release. Inhale, other toe. Long leg, long spine. Release. Perhaps you lift the knee and release. And you lift and release. Inhale and exhale, or you could exhale up and inhale. You could try either way. See what makes you feel stronger and more balanced. And then exhale down. Inhale your arms up. Maybe step your feet a little wider. And take your left arm forward as you keep the right arm out. And then move the left arm back out and the right arm forward. And then switch the L at the same time. Move both arms and both arms. So they move and they move. You don't need to use the hand weights if it feels like too much. And they move and they move. Can you stabilize through your feet? Allow the shoulder girdle, the movement. And then come back to your T and release and roll your shoulders. And step your left toe out, hands in front of the body, palms forward, and inhale, snow angel, and exhale, release. Ground into your standing leg. Maybe the other leg lifts, maybe not. We inhale into the whole circumference, and we exhale, release. And we inhale, and we exhale. Can you still invite the back body to open, even as you snow angel? One more. And release. Take the other toe out. Remember, you're following your scapular plane with the arm, so you're not trying to draw it back here. The hand wants to be in front of the body so the shoulder blade can move easily. We inhale, lengthen. Exhale, release. We inhale, lengthen, and fill. And exhale, release. We may lift the pelvic floor and the arch of the foot to support us. And release. We inhale and exhale. Fluid breath, fluid motion. Slow, mindful movement. We lift and release and roll your shoulders. Let's do a little more of this back strengthening. Stand again with your shoulder blades back and your humerus bones pressed back like they're against the wall. Root your tailbone, bend your knees, and lean back against the imaginary wall. Broad shoulders, and then hinge forward and lengthen the arms. And bend the elbow and lengthen the arm and bend and lengthen and bend and lengthen. Now bend the right arm, keep the left long, then bend the left and right and left and right. Waking up our neurology. Can you still keep your collarbones broad and your shoulders aware towards the back body? Tailbone long. Front abdomen supporting the low spine. And then take both arms long and hold, reaching through your knuckles and through the top of your head, shoulders broad. Strengthening the back body. And then unhinge and roll your shoulders. Great. And let's pick up our TheraBand. And let's bring the right hand to the hip and the left palm forward. You all have become so far. You're very advanced in this. I did this with people in person for the first time yesterday, and some people were really not conscious yet in their bodies, and it made me realize how far you've come. Left hand forward, left arm up, left shoulder blade onto the back. Feel now into that right buttock and right heel, just like you did on the wall. Broad across your shoulder girdle, now ground into both feet. Lift your pelvic floor, lengthen the spine. Three-dimensional breath. So we wake up the myofascia in the outer body because this myofascia can help us stabilize. Some of you really wanted to work on balance. So being more conscious in how these muscles can stabilize us will help us with our balance. Take the left arm forward, keep the whole body stable, and then open the left arm out again. And forward and out. Notice if you change weight distribution on your feet, it's okay that you do, but become aware of it and ask yourself, if I press more into my right foot, than my left, does that destabilize me? And will it help me stabilize if I actually press a little more consciously into the right foot? And then open again, broad across the shoulder girdles. We're strengthening your back bodies. And release. Bring the right hand forward, palm up. Left hand to the hip. The right arm wants to be long if you can do that, but we aren't throwing the arm bone forward. It's integrated back, and we open the arm out at our diagonal. And notice your connection, right? Shoulder blade to left buttock to left heel. Broad now across to the left shoulder blade. And find your connection, left shoulder blade to right buttock to right heel. Find strength up the front column of the spine to meet the strength of the back body. Check in that you're not hyperextending your knees. Three-dimensional breath. And release the right arm forward and draw it back. And release it forward. Keep a rhythm to your breath. And release. And open. And one more time, release. And open. And stretch broad across the shoulder girdle, grounding both legs. And release. And roll your shoulders. Okay, let's come down to the floor. Please have your ball blocker. Ooh, gotta move things from in front of my clock so I know what time it is. Okay, and also please have your long TheraBand. And lay yourselves back. Pet your pets if they want some attention. Hi, Izzy. Hi, Izzy. Okay. Lay back. Remember, if you need a pillow to bring your hairline even with your chin, please use one. Make sure the pillow is under your head, not under your neck. And bring your palms to face each other across the body. And press the head of your arm bone and your elbow, the whole length of your humerus bone back. Now, as you open this upper back, try to maintain your natural lumbar curve and come back into your three-dimensional breath. Breathe yourself wide. Breathe into the back against the floor. And on your next exhale, float one leg up to tabletop. And then inhale, float it down light as a feather. Exhale the other leg up. Keep your arm bones pressing back. We're strengthening the back body today. As you're ready, exhale the leg up and inhale, light as a feather, land it. Keep your neutral curve to your lumbar spine. If that isn't there, then bring a folded blanket under your sacrum. Exhale, one leg up, and then activate your core. Bring the other leg up to follow it. Humerus bone still pressing back and broad. Lengthen one leg out at your 45-degree angle and hug the other knee in. And you can't quite see me because of Izzy. And then switch legs and switch. So it's single leg stretch without the arms. Reach and reach and reach and reach. If that feels like too much, you can reach straight up towards the sky and not totally extend the legs. Try to keep your lumbar curve. Energy coming in towards the front of the spine, along the spine, broad across your shoulder girdles, stretching back, pressing back with the arm bones. Good. And then hug both knees into the chest. Bring your hands up to the knees and circle them wide and back together again. Notice if your pelvis rocks a lot here, and it's okay if it does, but just become aware. Aha, look how much I'm moving my pelvis. Take your knees the other way. Sometimes it's okay to move the pelvis. At other times, we'd like to keep the pelvis and lumbar still as the legs work. So let's come back up to tabletop. Lift your hands and feet towards the sky. Form a little V with your feet, a tennis ball between your big toes. And take your wrists away from your ankles. Keep your natural lumbar curve. Wrists away from ankles, wrists away from ankles, and then come back straight up overhead. And then zip up the inner thighs. Activate your glutes. Hands, wrists away from ankles. Keep your lumbar curve and come back up. And one more time. If having straight legs is hard, then just do it with bent knees. Wrists away from knees and come back up. Wrists away from legs and come back up. Arms away from legs. Keep your neutral curve. Now circle the arms and hug your knees into the chest. And reach. While you're reaching, you have a natural lumbar curve. Circle and hug. Then you flatten the curve to hug the knees in. You don't have nearly as much pressure on the low back when you're hugging in. Fluid breath. Inhale out and exhale in. One more. Inhale out and exhale in. Bring the right leg overhead, left leg long. Bring your arms back into your robot arms. Press the humerus back. Pulse, pulse, and switch. Pulse, 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 pulse. Can you keep your lumbar curve? If not, if you take both legs out away from the chest a little farther, can you keep your lumbar curve? So you don't have to get this leg way overhead. You'll get that more as flexibility comes. Can you stabilize the lumbar spine? Use your front and side core strength. Press your arm bones back. Relax the face and jaw. Good. And bring the legs together and bend the knees. Arm bones still pressing back. Toe dip. One foot at a time or both legs. Either way. Toe dip slowly. Keep broad and grounded across the shoulder girdle. Try not to overactivate in the neck. So the grounding does not have to be 100% of effort, right? It just needs to be heavy. See if you can relax into that heaviness. Now ground the arms in a more relaxed way. And last one. And then bring your hands up behind your head and exhale. Lift your right elbow, lengthen the right leg, and switch and switch. Really reach that elbow for the sky. Try to lift the shoulder blade off the floor. As you draw the knee in, notice, do I hitch the hip on that side? Try to keep your pelvis even. So we're not hitching the hip side to side, which can cause tension in the low back. Reach the elbow, reach the elbow. And then come to center. Float your head and each foot to the floor. Take your feet wide. And if it's comfortable, bring your arms overhead. Take your knees to the left. Reach the right knee away from the right fingertips, lengthening through the hips. Deep breath along the torso. One more deep inhale. And exhale back to center. And take the knees to the right. Or reach through the left knee and left wrist and extend, stretch. Fluid, three-dimensional breath. Feel how the breath moves this tissue. Imagine the lymph vessels in that tissue getting a little pressure and release with your breath. Now come back to center. Release your arms to your sides and bring the right ankle up over the left femur bone. Maybe you stay here. Maybe you put a yoga block under the left foot. Maybe you bring a yoga strap or a TheraBand around your leg, or maybe you reach your hands through. Come into your figure four stretch and pause wherever it's good for you. I like rocking side to side. Please keep your right foot flexed to support the right knee. Fluid breath when you land at the stretch that's optimal for you today. Now really breathe into your belly, your side bodies and back. Move the tissue of the abdomen with your breath. And relax the hip on the exhales. And then lower. Left foot to the floor, right foot to the floor, and switch sides. Remember, you can stop with the knee just open, raise it to a block, or draw the legs in and rock side to side, keeping the left foot flexed this time to support the left knee. Pause where the stretch is best for you. Now, if you're really tight on one side, you may want to rest the forearm of that same side across the triangle of your knee. The push away from the body may actually help you come into more of a stretch in the hip. Fluid breath. I invite you to play in the pose with gentle movement to find the stretch that's best for you. And I ask that you check in that your body isn't just gripping in the position, but that you're able to exhale and release tension from the joints. And then release the right foot to the floor and then the left. If you have a pillow in, release the pillow and bring your humerus bones parallel to your torso. Press from head to elbow and lift the pelvis. And lift the right hip a little higher and pause. Let the left hip relax down towards earth. And then switch. Left glute activates, lifts the left hip. Let the right hip descend and switch. This motion can be as small, as big as you'd like as you rock the pelvis back and forth. Notice the glutes turn on and on and on. As you rock, we want to wake up the buttocks. A lot of people have amnesia in the buttocks, according to someone I know who is a physical therapist. I don't want my students to have buttocks amnesia. So we're going to wake up each buttock. Lift and lift and lift. Come to center, use both buttocks. Lift the pelvis a little higher and gently pulse the pubic bone. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Lengthen the tailbone towards the knees. Feel your hamstrings active and holding the pelvis up, your buttocks and your low back. Press the humerus bones back. This doesn't have to be at 100%, but we want to feel the arms active also, so the whole back body is strengthening. And then exhale. Lower your pelvis to the floor. Take the knees wide again. Open the arms into a T and let the knees fall off to one side. Now, if some of you don't twist the spine, you can just allow the femur bones to rotate internally as much as they'll go without lifting the pelvis off the floor. Now, if your knees fell to the left, take your left ear a little towards your left shoulder in a side bend of the neck, and then gently turn your gaze towards the right hand. Fluid breath, reaching out through the right knee. Come back through center with the head and the knees. Take the knees over first, and then side bend right ear towards right shoulder, and then turn the head. This gives you a little more space in the cervical spine for the gentle twist. Now remember, if you have osteoporosis, you don't want to go into full range of motion with the neck if you feel vertebrae on vertebrae compression. So just go to wherever it feels like, I'm giving my discs a little bit of movement without compressing. And then reach out through the left knee. Invite breath into the pelvis. And come back to center, reaching for your TheraBand. Bring your TheraBand up over the top of the foot. Let's say the right foot. And hold the TheraBand in both hands. Elbows come to the floor, humerus bones ground, and pendulum. So the upper body is resting back and broad. Now notice as you pendulum, if you're flattening your lumbar curve, and see if you can pendulum without flattening. And then come up to your top with a lumbar curve. Hold the TheraBand in the right hand, ground the left arm out into a T, and take the right leg out to the right. Ground the right pelvis, the right foot, the right shoulder, the right low ribs. The left. left, as you take the right leg out. Really try to ground. Only go as far as you can still ground. And then exhale back to center. Connect your right shoulder blade to the left buttock. Connect your left shoulder blade to the right buttock and take the right leg out. Keep that left shoulder blade grounding for the right buttock and come back to center. Now find the opposite. Ground your left buttock, connect it with the right shoulder, take the right leg out. Keep grounding the left buttock. Keep grounding the left buttock and the left shoulder and the left foot and the left low ribs, and come back to center. And let's switch sides. So I really want you today to become aware of the crossbody myofascia and the back body. So pendulum the leg. Only pendulum as far as you can keep your lumbar curve. So I want you to really become aware of that. Where is that for you? And then pause at the top. Hold the strap in your left hand. Take the right arm out. Ground the right shoulder, the right low ribs, the right buttock, the right foot, and take the left leg out. Try to keep the right knee still. Really ground the right side and exhale back to center with the left leg. As you take the left leg out again, feel from right buttock to left shoulder. Keep that line strong and come back in. From right shoulder to left buttock, feel the line. Keep the right shoulder grounding. The right low ribs can help. And come back in. And one more time, find that whole grounding right side body. And come back to center. Lengthen your right leg out, left leg still to the sky. And take the left foot across to the right, down towards the right foot, out and up. And draw a circle. And as you draw a circle and the left leg comes out, can you ground the right shoulder, ground the right buttock, ground the right low ribs. Now come to the top and take your circle out from the top, a harder motion because the leg moves out sooner. Still try to ground the right side body and come back to the top and switch feet in the TheraBand. And lengthen your left leg out and take the right foot across the body, down, around, and up, grounding the left shoulder, the left low ribs. Use your humerus bones to help you stabilize. Lengthen through the left leg and let the leg help you stabilize. Come to the top and take the pinky toe out first and around, across the body and up. We're waking up the synovial fluid in our hip joints while we learn to use our back myofascial slings. And then come to the top and release. Both feet on the floor, heels aligned with sit bones. Press your humerus bones back and lift the pelvis. And lower the pelvis and lift the pelvis. Now lift. And pressing the humerus bones back, can you lift the heart slightly? Keep your neck in its cervical curve. Don't strain the neck. Pause at the top and hug your sit bones together and lift. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Pause on the lift. Lift equally with both sides of the buttock. Feel your hamstrings engaged, your low back, And exhale, release to the floor. And roll yourselves over and come onto hands and knees. Let's bring our TheraBand with us and place it long across. Okay, strengthening the back body. Left hand rests right on the TheraBand to hold it in place, and right hand picks the TheraBand up from the side, and the knuckles point out to the right. Now, really find your whole torso. Really feel into grounding both legs, even as you lift the right arm and lower it down. Lift. You don't even have to have very much strain on the TheraBand to activate the back body and your obliques. So this time, lift up and gently hold the lift. Lengthen the spine. Activate your front core. Feel across from one side hip pointer to the opposite low rib and create an X across your abdomen, as well as the X across the back body. And lower the hand and lift, and lower and lift, lower and lift, and hold. Broad across your shoulder girdle, long in the neck. Lift the front of the neck up and in, and release. Take the other side. So it doesn't take much pull on the TheraBand to start waking ourselves up in the obliques. You may feel that. So lift your hand. Don't feel like you have to put too much tension on. Lift the left shoulder blade onto the back ribs and hold. Broad across your shoulder girdle, lengthen the neck. This might mean lifting up the front of the neck a little. Reach out through your tailbone. Activate all along the front of the spine and lower the hand and lift. Notice how your grounding hand and the opposite leg may want to do a lot of that stabilizing work. Can you bring the other leg on board? And lift and hold. Three-dimensional breath. And release. And let yourselves roll back towards a child's pose. I want to hear if you feel awake in your back body after this class. If you feel a little sore tomorrow, you may want to just roll your shoulders a little side to side and then settle into your child's pose and take a three-dimensional breath. Feel just to the point before straining and let the breath slowly go. Take another few deep breaths. Relaxing into the exhales. And then come up. Look at your hands, fingers evenly spaced, and activate your finger pads to lift into a downward dog. Now we've really awakened the back body today. Can you feel creating a long spine? That might mean bending your knees. Broad across your shoulder girdle, strong in the front of the spine. Maybe you can take the femur bones back and maintain your lumbar curve. You can stay in downward dog or float forward into your plank. You can stay in this high plank or lower your knees for low plank. You can stay in high plank or lift one foot off the floor without moving the pelvis and float that foot down, lifting the other foot off the floor. And float that foot down and roll back into your downward dog. And roll forward into your plank. And if you'd like, lower your knees. And if you'd like, lift one heel. And lower the heel and lift the other heel. And lower the heel and lower the knees and roll back, child's pose. Fluid breath. You can stay in this straight child's pose or walk your hands around to the right and breathe into the left side body. Exhaling, relax the tissue open and notice how a stretch might let water flow through the tissue. How there's a pulse to the breath that can move the waters of the body. Then come back through center and take it over to the other side. A fluid breath. And come back to center. And bring in your block for a little multifidi work. So bring in your block. Place it under your right shin. If any of you have wrist issues, you can get those blocks with the handles, or you could come to a footstool or a coffee table with a blanket on it on your forearms so that you don't have to be on your hands and wrists here. Now float the other shin next to the shin on the block and then lower it towards the floor. You don't even have to touch. And then lift the pelvis to tabletop. And lower the shin and lift the shin. We're strengthening the multifidi. Lower the shin and lift the shin. The shin does not have to touch. It's not about stretching. It's about getting those stabilizers to turn on by doing something strange. So you're lowering the pelvis and lifting back up, asking the multifidi to hold the spine in pretty good stable position. Now lift back up and lengthen the lifting leg behind you. Okay. Here. And lower your toes and lift and lower and lift and lower and lift and hold. You can stay with that, or you can take the hand with the arm on the block forward onto fingertips. Now you're beginning to work balance in your myofascial slings again. Feel from your grounded hand across the body to the grounding leg and see if you can float the hand up as well as the leg and lower the toes and the fingers and lift. You can stop anywhere along this trajectory. You could still just be working with the leg. Don't lift the heel so high you come into a back bend. And lift up to the top and release off the block. And let's take it to the other side. So we place one shin along the block, and then we bring the other shin up next to it. And we lower the shin and lift, and lower and lift. And come take a look. Keep your spines long all the way through the neck as you lower and lift. That looks good, Katie. Remember, you don't have to go all the way to the floor. Yeah, good, Cynthia. Fluid breath. Good, Vicky. I see that work in your pelvis. And then come back up and hold. Find that strength along the front of the spine all the way through the neck and lengthen the lifted leg back out behind you. Toes towards the floor and lower the toes and lift. Keep the neck long, right up under the hyoid bone. Beautiful, Kathy. Fluid breath and movement. And then take the opposite fingers to the lifting foot forward if you like. And lift up and pause. And then you can lower and lift. Beautiful, Sharon. Lower and lift if you like. Beautiful, George. Fluid breath. Nice, Evan. Really lift under the navel and don't lift the foot so high that you come into a back bend. Try to really keep the spine parallel to the floor. That'll help you turn on the stabilizers. The moment you come into a back bend, the multifidi don't do their job. And then pause on the lift and then release down. Beautiful. Come off the block and roll back into your child's pose again. Set your hands and lift up. Roll your toes under and take your pelvis back. Downward dog. Go ahead and walk the dog, bending one knee and then the other, shifting hips side to side. And then walk your feet forward and bend your knees. Come into your standing child's pose. And just let your back body waterfall over the legs. Your torso should be laying on the femur bones. And then unhinge back to standing. Reach for the sky. Exhale, hands through the heart. And pause in your mountain pose. Round your heels. Gently activate your buttocks. Lengthen the low back. Shoulder blades on the upper back. Rest the base of the skull back. And see if you can relax onto the strength of your back body awareness. And draw gentle energy up the front of the spine to keep you into the strength of the back body. And reach for your hand weights. This is for you, Cynthia. But it is a really good practice after what we've done. So open your feet into your Pilates V at the right side of your mat and bring your thumbs to your humerus bones. Stand long and tall, grounding your heels. Particularly ground your outer right heel and lift the inner arch of your right foot. And then hinge your left leg across and float back. Now, can you stay really conscious of all the work we did in your back body? Remember, we're not hinging forward at the hip. We're staying in a long line from the heel up to the head. We're not hinging forward on the pelvis. We're hinging forward at the ankle. Stay strong in your back. Even in the base of the skull, lifting away from the shoulders. In the low ribs, lifting away from the pelvis. Feel the back body. And then if you'd like to add the arms, stretch and come back. Reach and come back. Stay conscious of the strength of your back body and that length of strength up the line of the front spine. And then float back and pause, arms to your side, stepping over to the left. You're in a Pilates V. Your right leg's going to follow the direction your right foot is pointing. Find your shoulder blades on the back. Press down into your heels and zip up the inner thighs. The top of the inner thighs lift through the pelvic floor and see if you can grow an inch up your spine. Shoulder blades on the back, thumbs come to the shoulders, and we hinge and come back. We hinge from the ankle and come back. Beautiful. No hinging at the hip. Just imagine that your hip is, you are a kind of a solid board on that left side of your body. You're staying strong. Beautiful. Stay strong in your shoulders' connection to each other. And then as you're ready, if you want to, reach and come back. Reach and come back. Remember, the step doesn't have to be too far. We want to stay grounded in the left foot outer heel and hinge from our ankle. Beautiful work. One more and come back and release your arms and roll your shoulders and put your hand weights down. Let's close with one light and fun activity. Come into your Pilates V with your ball and take your left toes out. And inhale up like wings and exhale, touch the toe. Now stay aware of your back body. Lean into the back body as you inhale and exhale and float and release and lift and let go and lift and release. Now lift over the top and switch. Take the right leg out And inhale, float up under your armpits and release. Lengthen your side bodies and release. Let the whole body float and release. Strong in the back awareness and let go. Long in the spine and up over the top and release. Let's bring our heels together and pause in your Pilates stance. Feel the back of your inner thighs magnetize towards each other. Make sure that doesn't hyperextend your knees. Lift through the pelvic floor and lengthen your curves, slightly lifting your heart. And lift the arms skyward in a Y. And grounding the tailbone, lift your low rib ring. And then lift your heart center and lift your gaze. And pause here for a few three-dimensional breaths. Hips hugging the midline to help you stabilize. Root the lower body to lengthen the waistline. And let's exhale the hands through the heart. Keep long in the spine and inhale. Draw into your growing awareness of your back body. Inhale into the stability of the center channel you've created right now. And let's inhale into a wonderful Wednesday for each one of you. Thank you. Okay. How'd that go?